Hello, everybody, and welcome to the Great America Show. It's great to have you with us today. January 6th has been something that's been at the forefront of the Marxist Dems topic of conversation since the day it happened. They're trying to put Donald Trump in jail in D.C. for it. They've got hundreds of political prisoners that still sit in the D.C. gulag today, hundreds who have been charged and overcharged for things that they should have never been charged in the first place, especially after what we saw that happen during the Summer of Love, where Black Lives Matter absolutely destroyed massive cities across this country. Minneapolis, for one, causing hundreds of millions of dollars of damage across this country, burning down police stations, occupying territories and streets, and not letting people go about their day. Yet the January 6th people are the insurrectionists. They're the domestic terrorists. They're the biggest threat to this democracy that this nation has ever seen. Not Kamala Harris, who just stole a nomination from Joe Biden over the summer. That's not democracy. That's just, I guess, democracy in action, we'll call that. I want to bring in our guest today. Our guest today is someone who is very familiar with January 6th and the insurrection that was. She's a 67-year-old mother and grandmother from Bristol, New Hampshire. Her name is Cindy Young. Cindy was charged and convicted on charges of entering and remaining in the U.S. Capitol on January 6th. She was found guilty by a group of her peers at a trial on 4 misdemeanor charges on August 9th of this summer. Her upcoming sentence is scheduled for November 21st. Prior to this happening, Cindy authored a book. It was called Out of the Fog, which is a memoir that details her survival of a plane crash that occurred on Nantucket Island in 1958. She was one of 10 people who survived the crash. She was with her mother, who did not survive the crash at the time. Interesting passengers that were on her flight included Gordon Dean, former head of Atomic Energy Commission. Dean was well known for his work with Oppenheimer, ushering and developing the hydrogen bomb. Dean's presence on the flight made headlines across the nation when he became one of the 24 fatally killed in that crash. Cindy, it's great to have you with us. I mean, your story is unbelievable. I'd met you and I'd spoken with you in a little bit on a Twitter Spaces with the fellow J6 insurrectionist. I want to get to that story about the plane crash and everything that transpired and makes your life a very interesting one, I should say. I want to start with that day, though, of January 6th and sort of work backwards here. First of all, from New Hampshire, what made you go to the Capitol on that day? What made you go to D.C. that day?
Well, like many that were there that day, I felt that our country was at a crossroad. I wanted to see our president speak. I had deep concerns over an election that I felt was fraudulent. I wanted to be there that day to see how Pence would react to the electors coming in. Some of the electors were saying they didn't want to certify the vote. I think Arizona. So I wanted to be there that day. I wanted my voice to be heard. And I had always believed that with our government, if you have an issue, you bring it to the government and you redress your grievances with those in charge.
Yeah, I mean, I don't think that's completely unreasonable to say. First of all, I mean, we're Americans. We're free to go wherever we like with obviously within boundaries, right? You're not going to break into the White House. You're not going to break into Area 51. But we're free as Americans to travel about our everyday lives and do as we want, as long as we're following the law. The last I checked, showing up to outside Capitol grounds, also going into even the Capitol, I think is a fine area. It's called the People's House for a reason.
We pay for it.
Well, there's not even that. The issues surrounded are just, enormous. Capitol Police welcoming people into the Capitol. I mean, it's like going to a nightclub and then the bouncer letting you in the club and then the whole place getting shut down and you're say, well, what the hell were you doing in here in the first place? Well, the bouncer let me in. That's a whole different story. But as Americans, I often say this on the show, we have every right to question everything because of everything we've seen since 2015, 2016, when President Trump came down that escalator. His campaign was spied upon. He had a presidency that was undermined at every single corner, every quarter, from people inside his operation to people outside, the Marxist Dems impeaching him twice. I mean, the list goes on. And as you and I were talking before this interview, I mean, it makes people even question for as far back as JFK being assassinated, as 9/11, the motives and what exactly happened on that day. It's truly unbelievable. So I want to go back to your story. I just had to get that off my chest because it really, truly troubles me.
Yeah.
You went to the Capitol on that day. What'd you do when you got there?
when I got there, I walked onto the grounds. I didn't see those signs that they say were present saying that the area was posted. I think that they had been taken down prior to me getting to the grounds. I got there fairly early. And being a person that's short in stature, I got up on a wall so I could see the crowd building. I mean, I'm from Nantucket. We'll get into that. It's a small island.
Right.
See a crowd that massive was just amazing to me. And there were millions there, not just thousands. There were, I would say, more than 1 million. So anyway, I got up on the wall to watch what was going on. And then I started to hear the flashbangs and gas and bullets, rubber bullets. And what I believe happened that day was that the crowd was intentionally stirred up into a frenzy. I think that was the intention. And that's exactly what happened. When people get shot at and you're being shot at by people that you support, we back the blue. Trump supporters like police. Why were they shooting?
I think not only were they provoked, but I think your group of people were infiltrated too, as we now learn from the Inspector General, whose report coincidentally is not coming out until after the election. And if Trump, God forbid, loses, we will never see that report. I can guarantee every single person, every million of you people listening to this show right now, we will never see that report. No. So you were sitting on a wall, standing on a wall outside. I got to say, I was at the Trump rally before the Capitol. I didn't make it to the Capitol. I'm kind of happy I didn't.
I'm glad you did.
What would have happened to me? But I was there reporting for Fox Business for Lou Dobbs Tonight at the time, and I got to be honest with you. I mean, it was unbelievable. The optimism, the people there, and I was going around interviewing people, and I was talking, and everyone was happy. I had people following me around with a megaphone, harassing me, saying, Fox News is liberal, and I'd stop and I'd talk with them and say, trust me, if you watch Lou Dobbs, Lou Dobbs is not liberal. And, we were having good fun. Me and my photographer, we walked around for about an hour or two. We interviewed people. We got in the car. He dropped me back off at Fox News. And then all of a sudden I hear and now the Fox News studio is literally right next to the Capitol, right next to Union Station. So it's, all in close proximity. And I find out all this stuff is going on. And I'm like, well, I mean, I was just there. Everything was fine, completely normal. And it was within an hour, Cindy, of me leaving that rally to getting back to the Fox News studios. And I'm like, there's no way in that short hour period, these people who I just met with, a lot of them, and spoke with, who were all happy and calm, are now at the Capitol burning the damn place down. And it's something, Cindy, that people aren't talking about. So were you at the Trump rally and then walked up to the Capitol, or were you at the Capitol?
I was at the Trump rally, and I left it before he finished speaking. He had just made the statement that we were going to walk peacefully to the Capitol, and he was going to walk with us. That's what I remember him saying. So, I had met a person on the bus that was from a town near me. He was the only person I knew that day. I was by myself. And so we decided we were going to walk toward the Capitol. And when we got there, we got separated. So he was the only person I knew. And I spent my time that day trying to reconnect with him and just find him because I felt safer with him.
Of course.
But anyway, I ended up making my way into the Capitol. I went through the Senate wing, and I got in there pretty early on. I remember walking side by side with Jacob Chansley on Constitution Ave, I think it was. And I thought,
were you welcome into the Capitol?
Was I welcomed in?
Yeah, I mean, did you have guards at the door who said, come on in? Was there anything stopping you from coming in?
They didn't stop me. They watched me walk by several places within the Capitol. There were guards. I even went up to guards asking, how do I get out? I'd never been in the Capitol. And to find your way out once you're in the belly of it, it's like a maze, right? So I went through the doors and I pretty much followed the crowd. I figured, I'll find my way in, I'll find my way out. Well, I followed the crowd, except for they went into the crypt area, and I went up these stairs and ended up in the rotunda. Mm-hmm. And I was in the rotunda just as John Sullivan was making his video that he sent to CNN. And you see me walk by John Sullivan. So that's the first time I'm on video. And, CCTV video picks you up all throughout, and the prosecution used all of it against me. The one thing they made sure that they put in my trial was that I said this place needs a good saging, which I did. But
I don't think that's completely unreasonable. And I mean, I've obviously never met you in person before, Cindy, but I think walking down the street next to you, I'm from New York. I see a lot of tough people in the streets. I don't think I'd be terribly scared of you. And there's no offense to you on that, but I mean, I don't think I'd be terribly scared that you were going to take over our country. Cindy, I want to take a quick break here. We have to, we have a heart out here, and come back with you and go on with your story, because it's truly fascinating. The sad thing is there's hundreds more people like you, Cindy, who are being taken advantage of by this government under this Biden regime and Merrick Garland. And it's truly a disgrace, and it's disgusting what these people have done to our country. We're talking with Cindy Young. We're coming right back. Stay with us. Folks, are you tired of supporting big box stores and multi-billion-dollar corporations that don't support us? Corporations that donate tens of millions of dollars a year to push woke Marxist Dem ideologies? Whether it be Amazon and Jeff Bezos, or Target with their transgender clothing for kids, or even Bud Light going totally woke, enough is enough. Why should we, as lovers of this country, continue to support these corporations? The answer is we shouldn't. I constantly get people who reach out to me and ask, John, what can we do to save this country? Where can we shop and support American-made brands and conservative ideologies? Well, we now have a solution to stop shopping at these woke companies and stop funding the deep state, and a solution to buy American. This is something we can all do right now to kick the deep state in the teeth and stop funding our enemies and vote with our dollars. We have a parallel economy for around 450 household products. Not only can you cancel woke brands like Procter & Gamble and Johnson & Johnson, you can also cancel the stores that carry them. I need you all to head over to switchwithjohn.com, that's switchwithjohn.com, where you can read all about our movement. We have access to a conservative manufacturer that will replace these brands and the stores you buy them from. It isn't an additional budget item, because instead of turning right into Target or left into Walmart, you're going to shop directly online, directly with the manufacturer. Folks, this is a patriot movement that is happening right now before our eyes. Every 47 seconds, a shopper is switching to our online store, and we need you to partner with us. Join us and band together. I just canceled my Amazon Prime subscription because I've truly had enough. So what do you say? It's time to put your money where your heart is? Join us today and help save this nation. Go to switchwithjohn.com. That's switchwithjohn.com to learn how you can join thousands of other patriots and help take this nation back. switchwithjohn.com. We'll see you there. We're back. We're talking with insurrectionist and J6er Cindy Young. And Cindy, I want to go on with your story because it's truly fascinating, and it gives us an insight on what happened that day for all of us who never got to enter the Capitol or go to the Capitol or see what was so bad that happened that day that the Democrats called us the biggest threat to democracy that our nation's ever seen. Of course, not barring 9/11 or some of the other things that happened. We did have a civil war in this country at one point. I don't know if the Democrats remember that, but all that aside. So you went in the Capitol, you made your way around the rotunda, you made it onto John Sullivan's video. What happens after that?
So I continue making my way. I go through the statuary hall.
Statuary hall, yeah.
Yeah, I go to the House doors. Now, at the House doors, there was a lot of activity. People kind of got into a larger group again because you were at the doors and there were police there. But the one thing that was really confusing was there was a Capitol Police with a bullhorn, and he was saying to the crowd, if you quiet down, we'll let you in.
Oh, my God.
Well, that told me that I had the right to go in there to, be quiet, but nobody was going to quiet down. And they pushed through the police line, which the prosecution said I was a part of, which I was not. You can clearly see that I followed the crowd. So anyway, again,
They said that you were pushing, ramming a crowd?
Yeah, they said that we surged the line, and I'm going to talk a little bit about this because one of the you had talked about, I don't want to jump to juries and all of that yet, but you had talked about a jury of my peers. I did not have a jury of my peers, number one. And we'll get into that. But so again, I go further, and I didn't even know the areas I was in until building my defense for the case and going through the video with my attorney, which is another story. You can't look at the videos. I can't access any of the videos on my own. I have to do it with my attorney. My attorney's in Baltimore, so I have to travel to Baltimore every time I want to work on my case.
It's like you're rich or something, Cindy.
By design, right? Yeah. So anyway, I made it to the area where there was a lot of, it was getting crazy, and there were people banging against doors and whatnot. And this was the area that Ashley got shot.
Right.
I didn't know it at the time. I just knew that I didn't want to be there anymore. And I actually went down these stairs, and I went through the hall of columns. I met a woman in the hall of columns. It was empty, completely empty. And I said, she was a Capitol Police. And I said to her, I want to get out of here. Can you just show me how I get out? Where's the exit? And she said, down this hall. And she pointed down the hall. Well, as she pointed down the hall, there were men coming in with long guns. They were reacting to the shooting upstairs, Ashley's shooting. And she's wanting me to walk toward these guys with guns. And I said, I'm not moving. And I said, they'll shoot me. And she said, just walk with your hands out. You'll be fine.
Yeah, right, they would shoot you.
I said, no, I'm not moving. So then she got a guard between me and them, and he pointed me out the exit, and out I went. And that was my venture through the Capitol.
That was your insurrection moment, Cindy, as a you've been 62, 63 back then. I mean, it's truly unbelievable to think. So you go on, you have your day. Presumably you get back on your bus at some point during that trip, and you head back to New Hampshire, right?
Right.
Now, at what point does the Department of Justice come and get you?
So they contacted me probably, I'm going to say the next week, they contacted me by phone. Mm-hmm. And they interviewed me, and they asked me questions, and I answered the questions.
Now, you weren't with a lawyer or anything like that?
No.
Can I take a quick guess? They called you like they were your friends, and they spoke to you very nicely and said, nothing's going to happen. Everything's going to be okay. You're not in trouble. Just answer a few questions.
What was it? Mob mentality and all this stuff, right? So they asked me all the questions, and I didn't hear from them again. So the FBI agent that interviewed me initially, he called me, he interviewed me, he looked at video, he looked at what evidence they had at the time. And then in May, he was asked, he was asked by the Department of not Human Services, people that steal kids, child, whatever.
DHS? What was it? What agency was it?
Can't remember. It was the one that child trafficking agents. So do you want to open a case against her? And he said, no, I'm not opening a case at this time. So that's in May of 2021. 2022 in February, in December prior to that, the group that's called, what's that left-wing group?
Antifa?
Not Antifa. They look up January 6ers.
Okay.
So anyway, they contacted the FBI again, and another agent came to my place of business in February of that year and had pictures with him, interviewed me, never read me my rights, never said, this is we're building a case against you or anything like that. It was friendly. He had someone with him. And they asked me a bunch of questions. They showed me pictures. Is this you? Well, I'm going to say, what am I going to say? That's not
I
me.
don't know. Maybe it is.
I've never been in trouble before, so I just try and be cooperative.
Yeah, of course.
So anyway, they did that. They left. This is in 2023 in February, and I didn't get contacted again until June of 2023, when they said the DOJ has released your case, has unsealed your case, and they're bringing charges against you, and we want you to self-surrender in Concord, New Hampshire, which I did. So,
oh my God! So you surrender and you start the process. Were you brought back down to D.C.? What happened after that?
no, so I went to the courthouse. I asked them if I could be there like after work that day. They said, "Oh no, you got to be there first thing in the morning," which I was. And they put me in shackles and handcuffs and in a cell until the end of the day. I didn't get in front of the judge till the very end of the day that day. They took pictures, they took my DNA, they did all of that stuff. So now I'm charged, and then I get arraigned by Zoom with DC. So that's in June, and my case has continued until I finally went to trial. I had public defenders at first, which did nothing. All they wanted,
they're working for the government.
All they wanted was the plea deal, yes. Yeah. And the minute I said no to the plea deal, they said, "Oh, well, they're going to drop a felony charge. That's 20 years trying to scare me into the plea deal." Well, I didn't take it. Here's the cool part of the story.
Well, real quick, Cindy, from the time that you were arraigned, did you spend any time in jail, or you were released on bail?
I was released. They took my passport. I'm on what's called pretrial supervision. I have to report every month. They come, they give me urinalysis tests at home. This
is insane.
Yeah. And they watch, really.
This is insanity.
Yeah. I can't have guns. I can't drink. I can't drug. I can't, not that I would anyway, but, and
I think you're in New Hampshire where you can smoke marijuana if you want to. Is that correct?
No, it's not legal here.
Medicinally legal?
It's medicinally.
Right. So, okay. So say you're prescribed in medicinally, and I'm not enforcing. I don't smoke or do anything, but I'm just saying it's your right if you wanted to, if you were prescribed by a doctor. It's also your right that you're allowed to have alcoholic drinks. I mean, it's sick to think, I mean, that we've come this far in society and in the world that it's gotten this bad that it literally makes me sick.
Shutting me up, and they haven't succeeded at it yet.
Because at the end of the day, Cindy, and it's the same thing for me. What do we have to lose? I mean, are they going to blackball us? Are they going to blackmail me to never getting a job in my life? I don't care. I do this for an audience. You know, if the advertisers want to drop the show, go right ahead. Luckily, I have great advertisers who believe in the same beliefs that we all do than all my guests on this show, so I don't have to worry about it. But at the end of the day, Cindy, I lose no sleep over it because I don't owe anybody anything, and nobody owns this show, and nobody tells me what to say, and nobody told Lou what to say. And it was the same reason that Fox had to get rid of Lou, because they couldn't control him. And if they told him he couldn't say something, Lou would say, "Go to hell. I'm going to say it. If you want to get rid of me." He didn't say that, but that was the Lou mentality, that nobody can tell us what to say and what to do. And we need more people like that. I want to take one more quick break here. We're coming right back. We're going to go further into your story about what happens now, where we go from here, and that insane story about that plane crash in Nantucket some years ago. We're coming right back with Cindy Young.
A large retail store just canceled a huge order, leaving us with a ton of extra MyPillows. But you know what? That's their loss. I'm going to make it your gain. For the first time ever, you get standard classic MyPillows for wholesale prices, only $14.88. I can't believe I'm even saying that. Only $14.88. But it gets even better. For a limited time, I'm going to offer my entire classic collection at wholesale prices. Upgrade to a queen-size MyPillow for just $18.88. King size only $1 more. Get my body pillows for $29.88 and multi-use MyPillows for only $9.88. So go to mypillow.com or call the number on the screen. Use your promo code to take advantage of wholesale pricing for the first time ever on TV, including my standard size MyPillow, only $14.88. They've never been offered this low before. We have limited quantities at this price, so limit's going to be 10, and once they're gone, they're gone.
We're back. We're talking with J6er, an insurrectionist, because that's what she is, an elderly lady who went to the Capitol on January 6th, and she meant to overtake this nation and overthrow a presidency. I mean, it's sad. I hate to laugh at it, but it's truly, at the end of the day, it's a joke what these people have done. And the only reason I think we could make some laughter out of it is because when Donald Trump wins on November 5th, I think he is going to right the wrong. And every single one of you people, Democrats want to talk about reparations. You people are owed millions and hundreds of millions of dollars in reparations for what they've done to you. We let Democrats and Marxists and Antifa thugs and terrorists tear this country down in the summer of 2020, destroy it. Look what they did to Kyle Rittenhouse. They try to ruin the kid's life. The kid can never work again in a day in his life. He can't get a job. He can't get a steady job. He's mentally completely screwed up. I've spoken to him many times. It's very sad what they've done to him. And they're doing it to all of you guys, thousands of you guys. So, Cindy, so just fast forwarding now, you went through all the procedural stuff. You said no deal to a plea deal because that's all these people want is they want to. Because you know what, Cindy, when you take a plea deal, it becomes down as a guilty plea deal. And it's a statistic on a piece of paper where Merrick Garland can go out and say, we've got this many people convicted and they're guilty, they're insurrectionists. They agreed that they were insurrectionists. So fast forward, you say no dice to the plea deal. August, you go to trial. Tell us what happened.
So I went to trial and we picked the jury and, none of the jury I would consider my peers. None of them are in the same category of financial income. None of them use social media, by the way. That's what they all said.
Yeah, of course.
I had a juror that actually admitted that they had sat prior on another J6 trial. So that's a repeat juror that has sat through all of the evidence and convicted, because we know they've convicted everybody that went to trial. So now she's on mine. We object to her. And the way they constructed all of the questions for the jurors, the last question they ask is, can you put everything aside and be non-biased on this trial? And they say, oh, of course. So that just, if they say they hate Trump, which some of them did, it just negates all of what they said and they can be a juror. I had another juror that was actually a lawyer who wrote a brief on Trump.
Oh my God.
Yeah. So anyway, I go to trial. I have David Summerall, David has done the J6 True Timeline show. Okay. And he testified. He was like the pointer of the videos at my trial. And one of my proudest moments, it's not about winning because you're not going to win in DC.
No, you're not going to win on any of these cases because it's stacked against you guys.
Exactly. But if you can get things on record,
of course,
that's what they don't want. And so anyway, we brought up a video that shows the police line at 224. There's a big line of police in front of the West Tunnel. And you see all the crowd behind the police line, and all of a sudden that line collapsed. Well, the prosecution shows the video, and my lawyer says, well, I'm going to get up and show the one we have from the J6 timeline, which shows that the reason that line collapsed at 224 was because the Capitol Police gassed themselves.
Oh, my God.
That gas into the pavement, and you see them all hacking and puking and running away, and the line collapses. Well, they were trying to say that line collapsed because of Trump's tweet at 224. It didn't. So this is something that if Trump goes, it's now on record, and he could use it. Who knows? Other J6ers can use it. So it's all about what you can get on record, and then hopefully we can win at the appellate level. And I've got two good challenges at the appellate level with the repeat juror and the one that didn't disclose that he had filed a case against Trump. So,
hopefully it doesn't even have to go to that and you have to spend this money. I mean, hopefully this thing gets pushed. You don't get sentenced till November of 2021, right? Is that right? November 21st?
Yeah, November 21st.
November 21st. So what were you were found guilty on, is it 4 misdemeanor charges?
Yeah, it's entering and remaining, picketing and parading, disorderly conduct.
And what does the jail sentence carry on each of those?
There's 2 that are Class A and 2 that are Class B. They pretty much put the Class Bs aside. It's the Class As that they want to get you on. And what they do is they group the charges in zones, and then they give you points for the offenses. So they gave me 10 points, and then they gave me a 2-point reduction for never having a criminal record. So that puts me at 8 points, 9 months probably. Now, my lawyer looked at things, and really where they classified the charges is like that I attacked a police officer, which I didn't do.
Of course.
So I really belong in like a 6-point range with the 2-point reduction, which would bring you to 4, which would be 2 to 4 months. But they're going to fight it. They're already fighting the 2-point reduction.
I can't imagine a judge sitting there and looking at you in the eyes, Cindy, and is sentencing you to, I mean, even a day in jail.
I had a whole jury. They wouldn't look me in the eye. They looked
these are demented people, man. These are demented people. I spent a lot of time up in New Hampshire during the 2020 campaign. And I mean, there's a lot of good Republicans up there like yourself, but the Democrats are just absolute Marxist freaks. I mean, there's no nice way to put it.
I would say they're rabid.
Yeah, they are. I mean, it's these purple-haired
yeah.
You know, I'll leave my insults there because Lou would be very mad at me for doing this. But it literally drives me nuts because I know what it is. I mean, I've spent a lot of time on the road following these campaigns back when I worked at Fox and into the show. And it literally just drives me insane, Cindy. So November 21st is the big day, and we're all praying for you that these people do the right thing. We got a few minutes left. I want to go into, as if your life hasn't been insane this far. Tell the audience, if you will, about the story of this plane crash where you tragically lost your mother out in Nantucket.
So when I was an infant, 18 months old, I was on a plane that came out of LaGuardia, flying to Nantucket, and they said that it was overcome by fog. And it crashed 600 feet from the runway, pretty much did a cartwheel and blew up and turned into a ball of fire.
Oh.
Once it hit the ground. Most of the people on board, there were 34 passengers on board, 24 of them succumbed to the crash, 22 immediately, and then 2 hung on for a few days, and then they succumbed. My mother was one, burned beyond recognition. Tommy Tatum was the one that made me tell the story on this space, but you know, I really think you wonder why things happen, you know, and I think
who was on that plane, Cindy, with you?
So on the plane was Gordon Dean, who was head of the Atomic Energy Commission. And I didn't really, when I wrote the book in 2008, and I never really questioned that until I look back at it today, and I look at who he was and what he was involved in and who the circle was of people that he knew. So he actually was head of the Atomic Energy Commission and worked with Oppenheimer to introduce the hydrogen bomb. And there was his successor, who was a guy by the name of Strauss, hated Oppenheimer, hated him. So he accused him of being a fellow traveler, which was a communist. Oppenheimer had a girlfriend that they believed was a communist. So anyway, after Dean left the commission, Strauss went and attacked Oppenheimer and tried to take away his Q-level clearance. And I was like, I had never heard Q-level clearance, especially back then, right? Right. So I was like, wow, this is interesting. So I start digging in a little more and who they were connected to. And Dean was connected to the Gore family. His daughter, Mary Gore Dean, was the one, if you remember the whole housing thing with the Clintons.
Yes.
She was involved in that. They ran their circles with like Kissinger, Rockefeller, all those people. I look at people.
Vanderbilt.
Yeah, all those people. And we know what those people are about, right? So the other thing that Dean was involved with was prosecuting the Nazi tribunals. He did a lot on that. And Strauss was trying to get more Nazis, scientists brought to the country. So there probably was some conflict between them. And I'm like, could they have taken that plane down? So then I pull up this woman's, a nurse, and she talks about the passengers as they were brought in that night. Mm. And she talks about the first 4. Dean was one of the first 4. And out of everybody, he had no injuries, which was really weird to me because most of the passengers were really messed up.
So this was documented?
Yeah. All documented. And actually, she's on tape saying when he came through and she saw all of his Q level clearance, all of his clearance papers. She said, call the FBI. This could be sabotage.
Is she still alive, this lady?
I'm not sure if she's still alive. Her name is Hazel Kinsley. And if you go to the Nantucket Historical Association, you can listen to the tape that's on file there that she talks about it. So, I began to wonder, and I began to look at all these people and all their connections. And I said, what I know about the Nazis and how they take people out, could they have taken that plane out? Because we've heard that that's what they do. If they don't care if there's 100 people on a plane and they want one. The Titanic, talk about that story. 9/11, I wonder.
Yeah, it's like I'd said to you before we started this interview is since 2015, 2016, I think we have a right to question everything that we've seen since seeing what happened in 15 and 16 with the spying on the Trump campaign. Now we're seeing assassination attempts on him that I don't think are coincidences, and they're not lone gunmen. I noticed I saw the President Trump maybe a year ago or so, Cindy, at Mar-a-Lago, and I was with Lou and his wife, and we were joined by some other people. And I went to the car. Lou wanted to give the president one of the books he wrote, so I went to the car to grab one of the books. I run out of the car, I run back in, and I walk freely back into the room sitting with the president. And I'm thinking to myself, like, I know I'm no threat to this man because I love this man more than I love myself. But what if I was just some random person or, a camera guy who was working with Lou who didn't like this man? I mean, I walk into a room with this guy looking at him face to face after I just went to the car, and I'm sitting there and I'm like, how are they doing this? And I'd said to Lou at the time, it's about a year ago, I don't feel comfortable about how they're handling security with him. And Lou was like, he's fine. I think they're taking care of it. And I soon realized after 2 assassination attempts that my intuition and my instincts were correct about that. They really want this man dead. I mean, I think it's a full-on government coup that they want Trump dead because they cannot beat him. It's truly sad. Cindy, I want to go ahead.
Even back to January 6th at the Ellipse when he was speaking, you were there. Did you see all the people in the trees?
Yes. I actually, for everyone who could go back and look at my footage that ran on Fox Business, I actually interviewed a guy in the tree. I tried to climb up into it and get in there with him. But yes, I do remember the trees because I interviewed a guy in a tree.
So what we're supposed to believe is that the Secret Service does a secure perimeter around the president. Anybody in that tree could have taken off a pop shot. Easy. So they're not doing the security that they say they are.
Yep. Yeah, it's truly scary and sad what this country has come to, Cindy. And I pray to God that the ship gets right on November 5th. Can you, if you will, give the audience where they can buy your book, Out of the Fog? I assume Amazon is among the best places.
It's done. I launched it in 2008, and it's you could get it resale from like eBay, maybe older copies that people sell off, but no, it's not available for sale other than through resellers at this point.
That's disappointing. All right, where can they
print? But not now. I've got enough on my plate.
Where can they donate to you, Cindy? I assume you have a GoFundMe or a GiveSendGo because we're not all rich. Go ahead. Protecting
Freedom on GiveSendGo.
Protecting Freedom. And I encourage you guys, I mean, every dollar counts to helping Cindy and the rest of, these people who are going
They destroy you on every level. I've lost a business. If I go to jail, I'm, 67 on Social Security with a part-time job. All of that goes away, and so doesn't my home.
I mean, it's terrible, Cindy. We're going to try to get you back on here before the sentencing, and hopefully, things shift and change by then. And hopefully President Trump is the presumptive president when we talk again. Cindy Young, thank you so much. And we're so terribly sorry for everything you're going through right now. And, come back soon on the show. We really appreciate your time.
Thank you, John. Thanks for having me.
Thanks to Cindy Young, and thank you all for being with us today. I hope you enjoyed this episode as much as I did. The conversation with her was truly remarkable, and it's very sad, to just picture and imagine what some of these people are going through. As I said, any dollar you can spare that you can give to Cindy, I think every dollar goes a long way. It's Give, Send, Go. Protecting Freedom is the link to go to once you get on to Give, Send, Go. Again, Protecting Freedom. Like I said, any dollar counts. Thanks, everybody, for being with us today. Please be sure to follow me on Twitter at John Fawcett NY and on Truth Social at John Fawcett. We'll see you back here tomorrow. May God bless you. May God bless America. And may God bless the great Lou Dobbs.